Hi, friends. I can't believe I'm a VR designer. I get a lot of people asking me, how did you change your career and get into this role? I thought it would be helpful if I did a video about this, especially since this is what my channel is all about. For a little over a year now, I've been getting paid for VR work as a freelancer. And full disclosure, I'm not full-time at the moment, and honestly, it's kind of been a wild ride. But to me, it's a miracle that I've been able to do this. And I hope that things will continue getting even better as I grow. I've broken down my experience into 3 points and a bonus tip if you stay to the end. Each point I'm going to make could probably be its own video. There's so much I have to say about navigating this new field, so this will be a common theme on my channel for a while. But if there's something specific you'd like me to expand upon, please let me know in the comments. I want to start by saying, if you're looking for a linear career in life, I would not suggest getting into VR because you might be going on a path that feels like it's all over the place. That's at least how it feels for me. That said, there is a progression forward, so you ultimately do start getting paid work in VR. From my experience, I went the freelancing route because finding a regular 9-to-5 in this area isn't easy, and roles don't exist as much in an established, more traditional way. But maybe you'll have an easier time finding that full-time job. So what did I do? First, I needed skills in VR design. You'll need to understand how to design for the 3D space and the capabilities and limitations of VR. There are plenty of tutorials online, and I've got my favorites on YouTube. But it can be really overwhelming. For me, I was overloaded by all of the information out there, and I just wanted some structure to get me started. What I did was I went and found a boot camp, and XR resonated with me. At the time, they had a 12-week boot camp that included augmented and virtual reality. I thought I was going to focus on AR, but when I experienced VR for the first time and stepped into the world that I was creating, there was no turning back. I was all in on VR. Side note, I was also a VR design instructor at XR, so I love them and might be a little biased. If you want to learn on your own, let's talk about Unity, the game engine highly recommended for XR applications. Unity has a website with an amazing learning section. There are a lot of pathways that have the essentials, as well as one, for example, becoming a junior programmer. I highly recommend, even if you're a designer, to learn a little bit of code. You don't need to know a lot, but a little bit does help if you're working solo like me and want to present certain ideas that are critical to your vision. Unity's courses are free for you to delve in and get started. And don't forget about those amazing YouTubers out there. For me, going through XR bootcamp gave me the fundamentals to get started. And even better, I had a prototype at the end of class for my portfolio. After that, I was able to go through YouTube and be discerning about what to learn next. YouTube became a better resource for me because I had those fundamentals. After all, the upskilling and learning doesn't stop after a boot camp. Use it or lose it is true in this case. I never stopped opening Unity and Blender every day, even for a few minutes to stay fresh and familiar with VR creation. VR design does require some knowledge in 3D modeling and understanding of level design and some other game industry skills like basic animation. A lot of my graphic design and filmmaking knowledge has come in handy in VR. For these reasons, I also consider myself to be a 3D generalist, because you need to be in order to design a VR prototype and understand everything that goes into a completed app. 3D modeling is something I've been learning on my own out of necessity to complete demos and create in VR to my specifications. There are a lot of free assets available out there, which I also use. I just think it's nice to have the ability to edit or tweak a free asset. As you're learning, post your experiments and prototypes for apps or games to social media and let people know what you're up to. Then put these demos into your portfolio. A portfolio is the second thing you absolutely need when looking for work. When I started looking, I found that there aren't a lot of job listings that say VR design, VR designer on LinkedIn or traditional job boards. There are some XR job postings and boards out there, but they're not as easy to find, and there's just not many of them. It's pretty limited. Another thing I did was I created various notifications on LinkedIn for traditional game industry roles like 3D artist, 3D generalist, environment designer, technical artist, and that's where VR companies or opportunities can show up more. But you'll have to read the descriptions. You'll sometimes see things like level designer, VR, or UX, UI, VR. Doing the work is key to expanding your portfolio and keeping your skills fresh. I would create worlds from scratch, make models and prototypes, and put those into my portfolio, and then speak about my process, showing my sketches, color palettes, inspiration images, troubleshooting, and even my organizational timelines on my website. It's important to show your process so those who want to potentially hire you understand how you approach and solve problems in VR as a designer. Your previous experience counts too, which is probably for another video. I've brought my graphic design, music, video, art skills to this. When you think about it, any industry can find a good use case for VR. This can be very motivating. Use that motivation and you'll find yourself upskilling pretty quickly. My third point in how to become a paid VR designer is networking. Because VR design jobs are not listed as much or buried within descriptions of other job titles, this is critical. And this is not your traditional networking either, or at least it hasn't been for me. I used to think you'd go to an industry event, pass out your resume looking for work, and that's it. No, this is a little bit different. I suggest going out there and making friends in the VR space. Talk to people constantly, meet everybody, and don't just ask for a job. You are building a relationship. These are your friends now. They're a part of your community. There are different places to meet people, not just LinkedIn, for example. There's a couple places that I love to go to, Spatial Ape and XR Women. I'll put links in the description below so you can check those out, and maybe you'll see me there. Now for my bonus tip. This has been a spiritual transformation for me and a risk I didn't take lightly. I did a lot of work regarding my career for years with a life coach and even saw a coach who did hypnosis. It took soul searching to get to this point, and it required and still requires a lot of patience. I'm always learning. And financially, it hasn't been easy, but I saved money from my previous job to live off so I could go all in, give myself time, and be strategic about what I take on. Everyone's situation will be different, so do what works for you. If I had to sum all of this up in one phrase, it would be just do the work. For me, there was no turning back to my old life. I fell in love with VR and the community. I never thought I would even get to this point and that I would make this YouTube channel. If you are interested in this topic, stick with me. I'm still only a couple of years into this, but by watching my journey, I'm hoping it'll help you out. The more of us that can be empowered to creatively and thoughtfully build cool experiences, the better VR is going to be for everyone. Continue along this journey with me by hitting that subscribe button and give me a like. Until next time, take care, friends.